Well, they're done. I think we all saw this coming. Netflix has finally seen sense and dropped Harry and Meghan. So I'm going to delve into this using my 20 plus years experience as a UK therapist, where I look at body language, behaviour, not just what's being said, but reading between the lines of what isn't being said. I explore aspects that perhaps other people don't see. And I also focus on truth, not just gossip, clickbait, but truth, trying to get to the bottom of everything. So if you want to join me on this channel, then don't forget to subscribe. Please hit that like button if you've enjoyed the content, and don't forget to click all on the notification bell so you don't miss future uploads. So if you're still here and you're interested in finding out what's really going on, then go grab your cuppa as we delve into some tea with some therapeutic knowledge. So I'm pretty sure most of you watching this are now going to know that the Netflix deal is done. They are not being renewed. I'm seeing different things going around. I'm going to explore a lot of them, what I've seen. But I'm going to get into this and why I felt this was always going to be inevitable. And I feel that maybe these big brands maybe need to maybe look at what they're investing in or who they're investing in before signing up to something, because I think this was always going to happen. So as it stands, so 2020, Harry and Meghan signed with Netflix with this. It was a deal worth, and I think it's very important to state that the word worth. They did not get, and I did a video, gosh, probably about 3 years ago, where I was contacted by someone that was actually on the inside with regards to this deal, and this actually tallies up with that. So the deal was worth $100 million if they delivered. They did get a big sign-up bonus, which for you and I is like huge, and we will probably live off that for the rest of our entire lives. But for somebody like Harry and Meghan, who go through money like it's water, it's not that big. I think it was something around the realms of about 30 million or something along those lines. So huge for us, but for them, like I say, with their love of private jets and designer clothing and just whatever it is, this is not going to last very long. So obviously they signed this in 2020. Now, of course, there were rumors, and I think given the circumstance of what we've seen from then till now, they were definitely looking for things before this. They were definitely being groomed by Oprah. There was definitely a reason why Oprah was invited to the wedding, etc. So I think that Harry and Meghan were looking around for what could they do when they left the royal family, or if they left the royal family at this point. So, of course, we also know that they were dropped by Spotify in 2023, where Spotify stated basically that they were grifters and they were talentless and they were just a waste of money. In all intents and purposes, that was pretty much what was being said. They didn't deliver any real content. And if you remember back when Harry and Meghan first come on in regards to Spotify, they were discussing doing the podcast together. And it was going to be, sort of real people. It was going to be like experiences. And what we ended up with, I think, was one or two episodes when it was her and Harry together. They used a voice of a child in a way stating this was Archie as the hook. And this shows you right then that they're willing to use children. You know, we know this now, but right back then it was there, the signs. They were willing to use children to draw in people. So of course, then what happened, it was like a couple of episodes of whatever it was that they were doing. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, now it's about her. But instead of bringing in real people like you and I to talk about, to be sort of uplifting and using her platform to be uplifting, what does she do? No, she brought in celebrities, because this is what Meghan wants to be involved in. She doesn't really care about humanitarian issues. And again, I think we all know that now. So she was utilizing, and if you look at the people that she was trying to groom, it was very intentional, in my opinion. But she was also using the podcast to air any grievances that she held with the royal family. There was a lot of sort of dropping in things. Oh, I've got so much to say, and yet, you know, I don't say anything. And, you know, so there was like these veiled threats. And I think that everything that she's ever done, she's used whatever platform she has to constantly remind the royal family that she could say things, but she doesn't. It's like these veil threats. And this is what she has done pretty much from the get-go. You know, I've said to you before that the Canada pap walk with the doll was to get Harry over to Canada. She did not like the fact that Harry was still in the UK working out this sort of Sandringham summit. She's constantly got this, you know, I could tell the truth, but I don't. But I will if you don't play ball. And I think that's what she's kind of held over the royal family for, well, since the beginning of time. And I think that she's kind of done this with Harry from the beginning. But anyway, so I think when it came to Netflix, I think Netflix got very much caught up in the saga that was Megxit. So, of course, when they brought Harry and Meghan in, I absolutely do believe that Meghan and Harry sold them a lie. So it was basically, you know, we've got all this inside information. You're going to have a connection to the royals. And, of course, Netflix bought it. And so, of course, when they did their first mock-you-series where they mocked the late Queen, which I will never, ever, ever forget. And they were exposing, like, I mean, imagine having moments when you're on camera filming and, you know, Harry's saying, oh, I've got a text, you know, from your brother. And she's just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. It's your brother, you know, all dramatic. And the way that they behaved, it was just like the worst kind of reality TV. But of course, people tuned in. I mean, in all fairness, I didn't, and I only tuned in bits where I wanted to. Like, I saw things in the media, and I was like, okay, I need to go and sort of clarify that. And I need to sort of talk about that bit, but I never watched the full thing. Firstly, because I was disgusted with what Netflix did, and so I unsubscribed from them anyway. But secondly, because I will not put money in their pockets. I just refuse. That's why I don't understand why people bought her jam. People that wanted to, people that critique her, then went and bought her wine, went and bought her jam. And it's like, do you not realize what you're doing? It's like, this is like when I get watched by the cult squad. It's like, that doesn't bother me because they're giving me a view. They're adding to the monetary value of the channel. And that's exactly what these people were doing. They were buying her jam. They were buying her other products because they wanted to talk about them. Well, it's obvious, you know, if you were following this and you're using your noggin, your brain, then you would know that this was not a business venture for her because she cared. She was not bringing products to the table that actually were really good and mattered. This was about ticking a box. This was about her just making it look on paper that she's got a business that's worth something, albeit that it isn't. So it frustrated me no end when I was watching, you know, people who generally don't like her and talk about her and her behaviour, then going, oh, I bought her jam and yeah, it was awful. Well, okay, but then in a way, all you've done is you've just lined her pocket. So well done. And that's why I won't follow her. I won't do anything. So any views that I get, like when I watch something of hers, I find a way to find what I'm looking for that doesn't give her the money, because it's hypocritical in my opinion. You know, when you don't like somebody, but you then follow their channel or follow their products or support. You know, whatever it is. I mean, I've seen journalists do it, like a journalist that bought her wine and then said it was awful. Well, shocker, really? Are you surprised? But well done, you've just lined her pocket with $30. So, or what, $100, what exactly, you had to buy 3. So, yeah. But anyway, so the thing with Netflix, I think they were definitely attempting to buy into this Megxit drama. They wanted the gossip, and I get it because it's views, and of course in viewership that was deemed successful. But everything else they've done since then has not been. And the reason being is because, unfortunately, we are in a society now where drama and sort of like not so much gossip as such, but just, you know, sort of sensationalism is very, very popular, because sometimes it takes us away from our own lives. So we do sort of buy into those type of things to watch. And I see it quite often on social media, where people will watch somebody like that they don't particularly like, because some of it also is because they want to be validated. Like, for example, you know, you're watching something that they do, Harry and Meghan, and then they do something really awful, and you'll go, I knew it. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that she was going to do this. You know, so it sort of validates what we're sort of thinking and feeling. And it's like, we want to, it's not so much, I think, you know, it is, we want to see their downfall. And I think that's not because we are just being really mean. It's because of what they've done, the way they've gone about this, the way that they have treated both of her, you know, her family and his, and they're getting a platform to do that. You know, it's these, you know, when people write articles about them that are sycophantic, it's like you're still giving them a platform to lie, to hurt people. And that, in my opinion, should never be okay. But this is the world we live in now. So, of course, when they signed up, I absolutely do believe that Harry and Meghan were like, oh, well, you know, we'll give you the inside scoop. We'll do this, 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 and this. Of course, Netflix were like, woohoo, yeah, great. Cha-ching, money, because that's all it is to them. It's money. And so, of course, the docuseries dropped, and it was deemed successful in the eyes of viewership, because most people tuned in because they wanted to see what they had to say, because people were reporting on it. I don't necessarily think it was because people really enjoyed the content. It was, they just wanted to see what they were saying, so they then could do, you know, their article on it, or their, you know, YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever it is. So people were watching. So initially the goal was about compassion. It was about bringing in films and sort of a children's series and documentaries, you know, all based around sort of hope and compassion. And right there you think, compassion when you've treated your family the way that you have. It's you know, and I always come back to this, you know, it's not just what some people say, it's what people do. So I don't think Netflix were particularly that bothered about what they were going to get, as long as it got the views. But this is the way Harry and Meghan sort of drew people, you know, sort of in, was like, you know, we're going to, you know, really sort of bring in the real world. We're going to just, you know, it's all about hope and compassion and working with people. And we've got nothing. Pearl was cancelled, and there was a huge sort of uproar about this, because she was plagiarising, because this was already being done by somebody else. That was dropped very quietly, and I think because Netflix didn't want the fanfare, they didn't want all the sort of drama that might have escalated around that. So that was just sort of shelved, and nobody sort of really you know, said too much about it. Of course, it come up on this in social media and stuff, but people were like, oh yeah, that's just done, okay. And then it sort of come out a few months later that there was, you know, a woman that already sort of written this, and she was actually trying to get this off the ground. So whether or not Meghan found this and thought she's a nobody, so she, you know, no one's going to care, because I think this is exactly what Meghan does. She finds like really small companies, like, for example, when she tried to do the clothing brand, and she feels it's like a David and Goliath situation, you know, albeit that David won, which is what's happening. Is I think she felt, because of her connections to the royal family, and because of, you know, the status that she believes she has, is that she can sort of swallow these people up whole, take their idea, and she's allowed to go with it. But of course, these people are fighting back and they're just going, hang on a minute. No, you can't have As Ever as a clothing brand. You can't have Pearl because, this is already in the works. And this poor woman was trying to get this up and running and doing this herself. And then in comes Meghan like a vulture going, oh, this looks quite good. I can position myself as Pearl. I'll take this. But people are saying, no, you're not doing this. And I think Meghan doesn't have the power that she thinks she has. So of course Netflix kind of went, we're just gonna let that go, and we're not really gonna sort of go anywhere with that, and let's just hope it goes away, which it kind of did. So then we also obviously had Harry with his Invictus Polo, and then we had, Live to Lead, where I think they tried to do that, and that didn't go anywhere. So the only one that's really been any success was gossiping about the royal family. Then, of course, we had her As Ever, and then the cooking show, and that's done appallingly, albeit that her fans would create this to see, she's 383rd. But this was out of like 1,000 people, so that's so good. But actually, for viewership, no, it's not. It really isn't any good. And of course, this whole thing that she's tried to spin this is into, oh my gosh, this was so great. We've got a second season, when of course it's come out now that this was always going to be 2 seasons, and this was already filmed, and this is apparently then coming out in the fall. So I think this is going to be the last ditch attempt for Netflix to claw something back, which is why I think that they've tried to do the As Ever, sort of the jams and everything else, and potentially to showcase those, is because they want to claw back as much money as possible. Because it's interesting that Meghan at one point was going, I don't think I'm going to be doing the jams and things anymore. I'm just going to put that on hold. And I think the reason that is because it did appallingly. And no matter how much she kind of goes, oh, we've sold out, it didn't. Because she had a few products, no one's on the waiting list, no one really cares, no one's really searching for her, looking for what her products are. And so she knows, no matter how much she lies to the public, she knows on paper that this is appalling. So she's like, yeah, you know what, I've tried that, done that, not really that interested. But of course, Netflix, probably because they've signed up with her and she's still got this contract, are going, hang on. No, we've said about doing this store, so no, you need to get some more products in. We're not, and stick with this for a bit longer. So then all of a sudden, it's like in the next sort of couple of weeks, it was like, oh look, now I'm doing an apricot jam, and now I've got more honey and more flour sprinkles, and oh, I'm doing a wine, and it's very, very transparent. But the problem you have is, as I've said before, is that she has no talent. She has no longevity. Neither does Harry, which is why nothing Harry has done has worked. And this is why, and I've said this from the very, very beginning, why she grooms celebrities, why she's now grooming and using the podcast Lemonada, who nobody had ever heard of, to draw in billionaires. It is not a coinkydink that she would have known about this. Even though we're hearing about this now, I absolutely do believe that at some point they would have been told, I don't know how far back, that they're not being renewed. And this is why I think she tried to love bomb Netflix in the Instagram post that she did. It was like, oh my God, Netflix is so amazing. They've partnered with me and I just couldn't be happier. I think that's because she knew deep down that this was not happening, and probably hoped that they changed their mind. Which is why on paper I feel that she's tried to make Netflix, the brand sort of really more successful than what they are. But she's always thinking, always scheming. So of course what she's also been doing, I absolutely do believe, is that she's been utilizing the podcast to groom these billionaires, these people that have business connections. We have Jamie Lee Kermit the Frog, I call her, because I don't know why I just remember her that way. And then we obviously have Emma, and we have Emma Greedy, who is connected to Khloe Kardashian, part of the Good American Gene brand, and by all accounts very successful. But just something tells me that Emma Greedy would see through her, Jamie Lee Curman, I'm not so much. And I think if anyone is going to fall for Meghan's spiel of how unfair life is, and oh my gosh, Netflix has dropped us and I'm devastated and I really want to go into the wellness and I care about people, it's going to be her possibly that is going to, because I feel that they're very similar characters. So I think that it's very possible that she's going to buy into what Meghan is peddling. So this is to me what she's doing. She's now attempting to carve, because there's been rumors of her trying to secure things in what's going to happen in the divorce. So I think that she's most definitely carving things away from Harry. And I've said this before, that if she'd have become successful, she would have divorced him by now. It's only because she hasn't that she hasn't divorced him. She still needs the connection to the royal family. But if she gets, I mean, if someone invests in her $1 billion, then I whatever, millions of dollars, I think they'd be absolutely crazy. And in all fairness, deserve anything that potentially comes their way if they are not looking at the signs, because there is enough evidence out there to show who Meghan really is. So if you believe her after seeing everything and you buy into the lie that she's selling, then all fool you, really, because it's so obvious what she's doing. And so I think you've then got Harry, who's just, like I've said before, floundering, not really knowing what he's doing. He's really, all he's got is a couple of charity things that he does and Invictus. That's literally it. And so I think that he's trying to find a place away from her. She's trying to find a place away from him. And if she becomes successful, she will divorce him. It will come out. It will come out. Now, I think that Harry knows this. I think that he flits in and out with her. And I do think that this is potentially now what the peace talks have been, because it's also interesting. She's gone very, very quiet on Instagram. Now, she was posting daily. Now, all of a sudden, this has come out in regards to Netflix, and she's gone very, very quiet, where people, I mean, it's been lovely, but people are sort of speculating. Now, one of two things I believe is it could be going on is, one, she's licking her wounds and scheming behind the scenes of what to do next. And some people have said that Netflix will keep her on because of the divorce. No, I mean, Netflix might be interested, but you've got to remember we're dealing with a malignant narcissist, and this has been humiliating for her, because not only she was dropped by Spotify, she's now been dropped by Netflix for the same sort of reasons, because they're underwhelmed, they didn't deliver, and so she knows that. So she's been humiliated by Netflix. This is how she's going to see it. I mean, it's deserved in what she's behaved and how she's done, but this is how she's going to potentially see this. So with that humiliation, there's no way that she is going to go with Netflix again if there's a divorce deal, because she's going to want to spite them. So even if they offer her money, unless it's a huge amount, which I'm not sure they would do, she will pitch to somebody else, and possibly that someone that's a real rival to Netflix, as if to say, up yours kind of thing, because that's how petty she is. And we've seen her do this in various different ways. So I think that with Harry, though, I don't think that I think when it does come out, the divorce, I don't think he's necessarily going to want to talk about it, because I think what's going to be happening now is that the royal family, if they are in talks in finding him a place, now I absolutely do not believe he's going to come back as a working royal. I've said this from the get-go. They do not trust him. They will not want him back within the fold, because they do not trust anything to do with him. And also at the moment, it would just be absolutely impossible, because on paper they're still together. So if he comes over, then she's got to come, and then they've got to bring the fake children over, which we know isn't going to happen. So they've got to find a place for him somewhere, because as I've said before, he's still family. So as much as William is probably furious and doesn't want anything to do with him, King Charles is still his dad. And so there's still going to be this element where, unfortunately, and a lot of parents do this, I've certainly seen this when I've worked with clients, is that they will forgive and forgive and forgive. They don't forget, but because there's guilt or whatever it is, and I do think that he would have an element of guilt, King Charles, even though I don't feel it's necessary now, but he will probably still have an element of guilt. So I think he's probably finding somewhere or something that Harry can do that he's still got some purpose, if you like, because I think Harry just doesn't know what he's doing now. And she will be vicious. She's going to be vicious when this divorce happens, and I think she will absolutely throw him under the bus, and they know this. So there's every chance that they're possibly trying to carve something out to find a way for this to work, so she doesn't literally go all guns blazing and spills all the family secrets or exposes things that perhaps they don't want exposed, i.e. the children. So yeah, so I think this is what could be going on. But to me, this was inevitable. This was inevitable because of the character of who they are. They are lazy. They are, I mean, right. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to slightly backtrack on that, because Harry is lazy. He's had everything done for him. It's all he's ever known. And I fully believe that when Meghan come in, it's like she was the dominant person. So she probably took over and did things. And for her time, he just went along with things. But now he's not happy. So I think that he's becoming frustrated. However, Meghan's a grifter. So she works hard at the grift, but she doesn't work hard at the sort of, it's like, so I think you probably know what I'm getting at. So she puts all of her efforts into the grift. So she will be behind the scenes, phone calls, you know, working out who can I schmooze, who can I, you know, align with, you know, who's the next man that I've got a, you know, millionaire man that I've got my eyes on, you know. So it's like she's constantly. So in a way you could sort of think that, okay, that's working at something, but it's not work. So she's got no ethical work boundaries. She's got no ethical sort of ability to work like you and I perhaps. So what she does is she'll get the grift is the person that will do everything for her. So that's why she aligns with people that have got money, because if they've got money, she can pay people to do things. She aligned with Harry because Harry had status. So that status carried her into doing what she can do now. So she works hard at the grift, but then once that grift is sort of secured, she's then got the means to boss people around and get them to do everything for her. You know, this is the woman that wouldn't even make banana bread and got somebody else to do that for her, but then took credit. So this is the type of thing I mean. She works hard at the grift, but it's not ethical. It's not moral. It's you know, she's just do a grift to the, I mean, she will probably go down in history as one of the biggest grifters of all time. You know, she's absolutely infamous. But this is what she'll be doing, and this is why I believe that she's potentially gone quiet. Or the other thing is she's having more work done. She tends to go quiet when she has some work done. I imagine she's probably letting this die down, and then she's going to come back and she'll act as if everything's fine. This is what she does behind the scenes. She's probably spitting feathers right now, and she's probably throwing pans across the kitchen that's not in Montecito. And she'll be blaming Harry. She'll be blaming the royal family. She'll be blaming Netflix. Because the one thing you don't do is that you don't let go of a narcissist. They let go of you. So she will not be happy about this. So it'll be blaming everybody else. Harry will be probably behind, you know, the scenes blaming her, but probably not telling her that because he's probably scared of her. But he'll potentially also be colluding in her, yeah, it's Netflix's fault, or it's my family's fault, or it's the media's fault. You know, if the media hadn't done what they've done, then we would still be in Netflix. No, it's got nothing to do with that, because at the end of the day, then Spotify would still be with them. It's because they lie, they sell a lie. And unfortunately, these platforms, these businesses or whatever it is, they buy her lie. And this is what she'll be doing with the next person. And if that person is stupid enough to buy into her lie, then all for them. You know, Netflix, it understandable, because at the end of the day, they are, I mean, I think they're quite soulless. But, you know, it's a business. I get it. But this really does show you that she has no... well, neither of them do. They are not popular. No one really cares about them. I'm sorry, I'm having a hot flush again. So before I just carry on with this video, I just want to remind you to please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you do not want to miss future uploads. This will help the algorithm and YouTube tell me that I'm a channel worth keeping. I am trying to get myself to the 100k subscriber plaque by the end of this year. So please, if you haven't subscribed already, then please help just a little old me get there. Don't forget there are other ways to support if you so choose, because as most of you know, I run the free therapy program, but you can treat me to a cuppa, you can become a member, you can super chat. If you want to support in other ways, you can also go on and buy my bubble merchandise. You can also use my Amazon wish list and send something that way. But the biggest thing for me is please just watch, share, like, subscribe, because this is where we can circulate the truth rather than just the gossip and what's being sold on mainstream media. So thank you as always for your support. Now back to the main video. You know, Netflix and Spotify, these big companies, I can understand why they sort of drew, into some, sort of drew Harry and Meghan in, because it's a business, and I think they're quite soulless, but it's a business. But when companies like that are letting you go and not renewing your contract, and the theme is just no talent, disappointed, don't deliver, grifters, well, not everyone can be wrong. And I think the absolute beauty of this, because I am certainly not someone that would ever celebrate somebody's downfall unless I felt that what they have done is deserved. Because I don't believe in giving a platform to people who are not nice people. This is why I don't ever buy into the Hollywood thing. I think, there's just so much corruption in the world. And I think that with Harry and Meghan, the way that they have treated both of their families, the consequences of what is happening now is very, very deserved. And I think most of us here are going to absolutely agree with that. I think that these two, you cannot behave in this way. And I would say that to anyone, no matter whether, you're one of us, or whether you're out there in the world of celebrity. It's time that you realize that you cannot behave a certain way and then get rewarded for it. This, like I've said before, with this thing with Harry of like, oh, enough time has gone past. It's like, let's life's too short. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to inflict hurt and pain. And the last 2 years of your grandmother's life, you made miserable with this sort of cloud of racism hanging over her, almost, ruining the legacy that she built, and then going, well, yeah, you know what? It's kind of enough time now. No, you don't get to sign a contract with people, promise to deliver, don't deliver, and then wonder why they don't want to then renew that contract with you. There's consequences, and perhaps now they will start to realize that. Well, I actually start to think that Harry is probably realizing this already, but Meghan, I don't know, not so much. But I will think that she will be seething about this, and so she, like I said, when you go up against a narcissist, no matter who you are, they don't take rejection at all. So aside from blaming the royal family, she'll be blaming Harry, but she'll also be blaming Netflix. She will blame the way that they've dealt with things, or whatever it is. It's their fault, why this has not worked out. But actually the reality is people are just not into you, Meghan, and they're just not into you, Harry. Whatever it is that you had, Harry, that you had when you were part of the royal family, the rose tinted glasses have come off. We see you. We see who you are and the way you behave. And Meghan, we see you. So don't think for a second that we're that stupid, that we buy into whatever you're selling. Some might, but the rest of us don't. And thankfully now, Netflix don't either. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there something that you want to get off your chest and you want to say what you feel? This is a safe space to do that. So if you are frustrated and angry, put it in the comments. If you are happy and elated that this has happened, put it in the comments, because I love to read everything that you say and I try to get through as many as I possibly can. So as I said, please, before you leave, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Please go across and sign up to my Bite-Sized Tea channel, because I really want to get that to grow as well. Because if anything happens to this channel, because people have told me I'm getting a little bit close to the truth, which is why my channel could be being messed with, you know, I'm relying on you guys to help me out there, please. So please go across and, you know, subscribe to Bite-Sized Tea. You can click on the circle at the end of this video, and yeah, just keep sharing and watching. You know, let's not let these people win, because I really don't want to disappear, and I hope that I don't. But you know, it does worry me when I talk about some of the things that I do, because in trying to bring you the truth, it's a bit of a risk. So yeah, of course, we've had Prince George's birthday, and this is a beautiful photograph of him, just absolutely celebrating his 12th birthday. But you know, big decisions are going to be needed to be made now, obviously, because you know, there is now every chance that he'll be flying and traveling separately to the rest of the royal family. Also, a big success for the Lionesses, and of course Prince William will be traveling to Switzerland to watch them play. Huge success for women's football. So pleased, so chuffed. So well done, Lionesses. This is a great achievement, and again, put the picture up here of them celebrating. Well deserved, well earned. So, and I'm so pleased that Prince William is going. And I hope he takes Princess Charlotte, because that would be amazing, having her watch the Lionesses play. That would be fantastic. But yeah, so anyway, have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you next week to see what other shenanigans they have been up to. But today, we're taking the win, and as always, I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye.